there is any still waiting for to open this public lecture.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Dean of the Faculty Social and Political Science, Dr. Herdi Warsona, MTP. The Honorable Head of Public Administration Department, Dr. AP Triyuningsi, MSI. The Honorable our Speaker, Dr. Sani Hongwiset from Budapest University, Thailand. The Honorable our Speaker, Prof. Dr. Tuomo Rautaviki from Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia. The Honorable our Speaker, Dr. Slamet Rosyadi, MSI from Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. The Honorable our Moderator for this ceremony, Drs. Ari Subowo, MA, the Lecturer of Public Administration Department, and the Honorable distinguished participant. First of all, let's pray to express our gratitude to God Almighty for the grace and the guidance of us all, so that we may gather in this ceremony. We welcome you to public lecture with the topic policy evaluation on food security and tourism in the COVID-19 pandemic era in Thailand, Indonesia, and Cambodia. The audience, we will enter the next event to sing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Okay, thank you. On this special morning, we have several agenda as follows. The first is opening speech. The second is materials by speaker. The third is question and answer session. And the fourth is closing. Ladies and gents, the following ceremony will be the first opening speech from the head of Public Administration Department, Ibu Dr. AP Triuningsih, MSI, please.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome to you in the event. Public lecture policies on food security and tourism and the COVID-19 pandemic era in Thailand, Indonesia, and Cambodia. I am very thankful to you, Prof. Tuomo, Dr. Suni, and Dr. Slamet Rosadi for taking time out of your busy schedule to be speaker in this event. I also would like to say thanks to the Dean of the Faculty of Social and Politics Sciences, Mr. Hadi Warsono, that this time cannot join at this event due to the business in Netherlands. All the committee that prepared this event, all the audience, and this webinar public lecture. Webinar with the theme aims to provide additional insight to all of us upon the policies taken by the governments of several countries. There are Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, and I hope this agenda running without any obstacle until the end of this agenda. Thank you. MC.
Okay, thank you, Bu Yuni. Okay, ladies and gents, now we'll have three experts who will deliver their expert insight. The first speaker is Dr. Sani Hangwisat from Europa University, Thailand. Hello, Dr. Sani.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. And then the second speaker is Prof. Dr. Tuomo Rautaviki from Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Hello, Prof. Dr. Tuomo.
Hi, good morning, and how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And the third speaker is Dr. Slamet Rosyadi, MSI from Jenderal Sudirman University Indonesia. Selamat pagi, Bapak. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Bapak. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Master of the Ceremony. My name is Gabriela Disayunan Sevina, and the ceremony I'm with my friend Zekia Lufiana as the Master of the Ceremony too. The session will be moderated by Bapak DRS Ari Subowo MA. For the information, Bapak DRS Ari Subowo is a lecturer in the Public Administration Department of Social and Political Science of Diponegoro University. To Bapak DRS Ari Subowo MA, we invite you to be the moderator. Bapak Ari, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriela. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all the participants on lecture. So, this is one agenda from department, especially in the Department of Public Administration, and running kind of lecture. Actually, the important thing that we want to especially want to make a kind of analysis on the comparing between Indonesia, Cambodia, and Thailand, especially tackling the post-pandemic COVID-19, in food security and also in the what we call it as tourism. So this is kind of interesting topic that we really want to know and then want to have a deep understanding the other country to tackling this pandemic. So this the topic of this today public lecture is about especially on the policy evaluation, on food security and also tourism, especially in the post-pandemic COVID-19 pandemic era, especially in the Thailand, Cambodia, and Indonesia. Why we choose Thailand and Cambodia? This mostly on the socio-economic, a little bit, things. And so, if we make kind of comparison, we have a kind of standards, So most and also this Thailand, Cambodia, and Indonesia in in Southeast Asia. So this is we want to do to a little bit make a kind of relation. So I'm really thank you, especially on behalf of the department. Thank you for Dr. Suni and Dr. Tuomo, that's can join this kind of public lecture. This is so much. Thank you very much. So at least and improving, enhancing the knowledge of student in public administration, especially in the Diponegoro University. Is it right? So before this, we begin the public lecture. I can introduce first. Maybe the audience have to be understand about this curriculum vitae from our guest lecturer. The first is Dr. Suni Hong, who said, this is the degree of the Doctor of Philosophy, especially in the public administration in University of Purapa, and then the Master of Education, and also in the Purapa of Thailand, and then the Bachelor of Education in English, especially in the University of Rambai-Barni, Rajapat, Thailand. Okay, and this is also the Dr. Suni Hong, we said, is Assistant of Dean for Student Affairs and especially Affairs Graduate School of Public Administration in Purapa, and also the lecturer of the Master of Public Administration. The research, if I look at this curriculum vitae, is quite long, and then I hope that Dr. Suni have highly experience, especially and doing research and the topic of the public administration, especially on the public and private sector. Is it right, Dr. Suni? Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Suni. This is Dr. Suni Hong, is that? I can call you Dr. Suni, or
It's
is that
okay.
right?
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Suni. And then the second guest lecturer here is Dr. Tuomo Rautakivi. Is it right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes. But it's enough to say Dr. Tuomo.
Okay, thank you
take
very
for
much.
me in Asia, Dr. Tuomo, no, nothing else. That is the most convenient also for me.
Okay, thank you. The background of study as education of Dr. Tuomo has got a PhD, especially in political science, in the Bangkok, Thailand Institute of International Studies, and then MBA program in the International Master of Business Administration in the Siam University, and also BBA from Program of International Business Administration, also from Siam, and also from YMCA, Chingrai Language School, and also Finnish Business College, and also in the Finland, Kapila. I cannot spelling it, Dr. Tuomo. But I'm sorry.
No problem.
And then now the Dr. Tuomo is a visiting full professor of Asian Studies on organization and development sustainability. So this is kind of highly experienced, especially on the doing on what we call it is international relation. Yeah. And then this third speaker is Dr. Slamet Rosyadi, SS MSc. This is our colleague from Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. That's the degree of doctor from the University of Brawijaya, I think. Yeah. And also Dr. Slamet Rosyadi is from Public Administration Department, especially in the rural development. Is it right?
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So we really it is good chance to hearing the public lecture here, especially for you all the participant in the public lecture. So this public lecture will be panel, will be panel. I think Dr. Juni, Dr. Chomo, and Dr. Slamet Rosadi, I give you not more than 40 minutes, to explain about the topic of the policy evaluation, especially in the food security and tourism. So the first speaker here, Dr. Juni, and then continue by Dr. Chomo, and the last is Dr. Slamet Rosadi, and all of you, I give you 40 minutes, and then after that, we have a kind of question and answer. So I hope all of you can, if you have a problem in, raising the question in English, and then you can write in this message in Bahasa, and I can translate it for you. Okay, time for the first speaker. I give you Dr. Shuni to explain how the, policy evaluation, especially in the Thailand, in the topic of the tourism. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I would like to share for the presentation, please. Yeah, excuse me, see for my presentation. I cannot hear. You are hear me?
Yes, we can hear and we can see your presentation also. Everything is.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for Doctor introduce myself. So many thank you for and appreciate for this the topic for me today. Okay. This topic today is about the policy evaluation on tourism in the COVID-19 pandemic era in Thailand, and I would like to know that it's in the Thailand, like present that tourism business need to adapt to the new normal and become to the next normal of tourism, and to help regain confidence among tourists and ensure safety together, right? Okay. I would like to sharing the points of the present and talk about it today. First, transition to recovery, and the second, factor affecting the future of the hotel industry, and the third, adaptive strategies, the hotel and tourism industries, and the fourth, criteria for Thailand community based on tourism developed, and last, 5 model tourism areas in Thailand present. And I would like to show about the policy in Thailand about the tourism through our hand-on ministry, right? And before I talk about the topic, would like to talk about in Thailand. I would like to talk about in Thailand about before the pandemic, the Thailand tourism and hotel industry had enjoyed strong growth for decades. I think that many countries like that, and which established in the industry as a key driver of the Thai economy. And the pandemic has posed a challenge to the industry, unlike any it has been faced. And in the impact will last for a long time. I think that approximate 2 years or 3 years, something like that. Okay, this about the transition to recovery. I would like to share this because from the research of Krung Si. Krung Si is based on Krung Si Bank, Krung Si Credit Card, Krung Si Cash Bank, which online, something like that, like to the information through research from Krung Si Center. Krung Si Center or Krung Si Research suggests first about the industry, the players to try to that because from the research suggestion from the information for the collecting data allow in Thailand. And I think that information around the world. And Krung Si research found that for separate phase first, phase second, phase third, and last fourth. First about the begin over, boost fund, bubble tourism, and build back better. First about the step or the phase of the research would like to show that why the most important target group, right? The first phase, right? Will be the last time or the time would like to show us about the target from the response about this research. Baby boomer and silver hair group because they have a relatively higher purchasing power and can travel longer periods. And actions require and request that was about this the best on the first, right? Beginning over boost fund, increase domestic tourist confidence and confidential, or especially among the silver hair travelers who are typically the more worried about contracting COVID-19. And the second data show that the use data analytics technology to better understand the particular needs of tourists in each segment of the market. I think that under the policy of the Thai government together. And first about the work with local communities, because local communities in Thailand important for us about the tourists, because when you come to Thailand, you would like to travel, you just to travel around in Thailand, just in Thailand, simply for us about the province, simply for us about the communities. Similar for us about the communities to develop local tourist attractions, including a sample for us about the famous local. Suppose that you would like to see Pattaya, you would like to see Bang San Beach, something like that. The famous local Pattaya, Bang San Beach in the Chonburi province. Similar in the Burapha University and the Chonburi province together. Famous local, like a temple, the restaurant. This will help provinces build their own unique attractions. Why this talk about this? Because when you think first about the policy, not policy in the center, population centric, just like to the sharing first about the policy, just to know what about the policy in the Thailand. Similar, because foreign arrivals will remain extremely low at this stage. It may be necessary to continue to cut costs. Like you would like to go to something or anywhere, something where in a place in Thailand, you just to have their budget and target target budget, you would like to know that, okay, how to, like when in the policy just to push funds about the community, the local, just to know, okay, this here cannot, this here can to do, okay. And this slide to explain first about the allies, the path to the recovery for the Thai tourism sector together, because okay, Thai tourism think satisfaction and that similar tourism foreign, just like to, okay, similar together. How hoteler, when you come to travel, you just to list the hotel and list for the resort, okay. The analysis is based on the two principal factors: the degree of travel mobility for like overseas, the foreign tourists, like why did you know first about, okay, situation, or first about the disease, and it's normal, next normal, and you can to clear first about the opinion. Okay. This about the show about the factors affecting the future of the hotel industry. I talk about it, that why I show first about the hotel, because when you come to the Thailand, you would like to travel just to would like to target for you would like to list hotel or a resort or the everywhere in your you choose, right? And before the pandemic, okay, you can see first about the map, link about the opinion, link about the situation, link about the point of the shoulders. And I would like to point of a background, and before the pandemic, it was believed goals would come from board base, right? And the tourism in Thailand high and increase or in income in Thailand, board base, right? And now target approach seem to more appropriate, tailored to the demands and behavior of different age groups, right? I would like to show first about this demographic and social change. Demographic and social change. Why I point my point this, because this assumption has been upheld by the COVID pandemic. And with the sudden rise in unemployment and lost income, right? I accept resource from World Bank with the importance of the segment has a drop sustainability. In my side, COVID crisis has exposed and deepened differences in needs and behaviors between the age groups, right? And developing a new tourism or new tourist attraction for the tourism department for the province, right? Is a resource intensive in time and capital, both human and financial. I think that is important, because not people come to travel, it's not income, not financial. Following the pandemic crisis, this might no longer an appropriate strategy. And second, I want to show the individualization. Individualization, if you are in class, remember first about the policy, when you give for the policy, just to know first about the individualization group. Okay, you know, just you how to know individualized thinking about the policy when you are give for him, for her, for female, for male, for about the diversity in the country, in the province, right? The COVID-19 crisis had exposed and different difference in the need behavior, right? I said that resort together, capital both and human financial together. And third, digital transformation and automation. If you all remember that when you are work from home, right? How to connect, like human touch cannot, right? And it's just to choose about the channel or solution for about communication. For the technology is playing increased role in a daily life together, whether communication for similar this education, right, or consumption. Hoteliers together and travelers together would like to benefit from the expanding technology for the work-life balance, work in the marketing effort, from creative in interesting and demand for hotel services. When you are alive to the hotel, right? You can contact in the culture, like communicate first by information transfer, right? Health and hygiene, yeah. Health and hygiene, and I think that situation like first priority, right? Because when the COVID-19 crisis ends, I think that ends, right? Some people think that, okay, next normal, right? Tourists will likely show greater interest in hygiene and public health standards, right? In travel destinations, including accommodation facilities. So operators will need to work with local communities to develop the local areas and to keep it safe and clean and reduce risk of infection. I like to reflect to health and healthy lifestyle, right? This point reflect to technology, digitalization, and individual reflect to emerging destination for I think that together for the traveler in Thailand and foreigner travel in Thailand. Okay, this would like to show about how I mean that so adaptive strategies the hotel and tourism industries, and I would like to challenge this point for the new opportunity, right? And this show the short future tourism and hotel response strategies. I know that future tourism would like to, okay, demand pattern, sustainability, technology, borderless, and certainty. And after or next moment, how to know first about the strategy. The first of show this crisis response, and when would like to show that a crisis response in the prepare liquidity and obey measures. Obey measures would like to think about why the measures think about barriers. Measures not barrier, and measures would like to how to and how to, right? Keep business afloat. It's a crisis response, and sometimes think about okay, how to keep business, because I would like to, okay, like a safe zone, right? And in my opinion, in Thailand, the business, a restaurant, and like a place for the travel, like in time you can buy the tickets, right? Close and change was about the business together. Like in Thailand, it's a boost business, boost was about the area, boost about the boost until to human resource, right? Demand response by the customer segmentation and personalization, optimized channel for accommodation for wider hospitality services provided together. And until to new opportunity, I would like to challenge you the new business in village area together, because a link was about the new opportunity. In my opinion, next normal, similar new opportunity. How to operators to consider developing new revenue streams, not to buy box and comfort zone to build up competitive or competitiveness. The strategy could include the following. And developing partnership, like a partnership in the country, in the overseas, maybe with restaurant, health center, and tour and transport companies. I think that opportunity for them. Hotelier can also cooperate with local community, with population popular in local. When think about the population in Thailand, population to change was about the culture, change was about the change in the resources, right? Provide at least a local and rehabilitation facilities and mindfulness and wellness center. Wellness center, I think about okay, just to the policy from the department, policy for the administration, local administration, because in Thailand, the simplest was about the administration, the local administration, just to know first about the policy until to the response from the population satisfaction, right? According to the tourism policy, is a set of these courses, decisions, and practices driven by governments, sometimes in collaboration with private or social actors, with the attention achieve diverse objectives related to tourism. Why I said it? Because just to when you are evaluate policy or policy evaluation, just like to know that okay, the government support was about the tourism industry, how, right? And group tourism industry have a strategy to under or follow forms about the tourism department together. And next to show about the share idea first about the criteria for Thailand's community-based tourism development. 5 aspects, right? 5 aspects from the Department of Tourism Industry, community-based tourism administration, good economic, social, and quality of life management. And in the criteria, I think that until to quality of community-based tourism services, right? And actually important base in developing in Thailand tourism to be strong and sustainable, because the country's tourism still has to depend on various community resources in propelling the economy, as an evidence from the second National Tourism Development Plan under the vision of Thailand is a leading quality tourism destination of the world, which goes equally based on Thainess, right? So promote economic and social development, and second, to the people in all the sector, including the linkage mainstream tourism with community-based tourism, create income to the every in the sector. Okay. Aspect include first, based in the community tourism administration. I chose to the subject because I think that linking first about the topic and link about first about the situation in Thailand. First, efficient do's and don't for tourism or tourists, right? The efficient, I think that everyone to know first about do's, right? Community-based tourism promoting or promote group, okay, do and don't for tourist explanation. How to promote this group, how to promote this overseas, how to promote about this situation under first about the Department Tourism in Thailand. And okay, I know that, okay, policy from Thailand, policy from the department, and why, and why and how to collaborate first about the set up first about the efficient to the every group, right? And second, efficient marketing and public relations of community-based tourism management. And I would like to including first about the based on tourism promotion group administrators, marketing strategies that suit the nature of tourism activities of the community, right? Aspect second, in the good economic, social, and quality of life management. In the efficient promote quality life uplifting, I think that is clear, right? Human rights in tourism in focus. In my side or my viewpoint is because the promotion, how to present in the to show that okay, this activity to help promote local career opportunity and uplift the quality of life, such as new startup volunteers in Thailand after or the next normal have so I think that there's so many startups together, a lot of startup in Thailand, because when you are established in the big company, big industry, just like okay, you are drop or the freezing from the period of time, pandemic, not pandemic, and COVID-19 before pandemic, right? Human rights in the promotion group always thinks of human rights of people of all groups, and such as children, women, elders, etc., disabled, and various minorities to have participation and benefit from tourism. Right. Aspect third, conservation and promotion of community cultural heritage. In the subject or the aim, a quality database on community cultural heritages, and the meaning was about the cultural heritage, such as the local history and the traditional way of life, wisdom, for an example, or when you are to support or promote, like just like to know first about the data, first about the information when you are support, like and just like that. And I would like to say that if you have a group, target group is clear, you can know first about the promote in the target in the community, right? And the efficient conservation, right? Until to the important about the awareness, like maintaining natural resources and development through tourism. In Thailand, promote and support was about the ecosystem. Ecosystem was about the insight was about the plan for tourists in Thailand, because resources in Thailand, like no fuss about the natural and land in the forest, and like temple, right? In the development through in the tourism explanation, commodity-based tourism promotion group has tourism activities help create awareness and joy and various partner together. Okay, let's pick forward. Systematic and sustainable natural resources or environmental management. First of all, we would like to sharing about the efficient conservation and revival of natural resources of environment in the community, and until to the natural resources or the environment through tourism. Aspect 5, quality of community-based tourism services, and in the satisfactory service says in community-based tourism section of quality of facilities and services. I think that facilities and services is important first about based on tourism, because if you are service or from the product or the services, like satisfaction from the tourist, right? And second, to quality tourist services point in the, I mean that where appropriate sites and facilities accessible for all, such as disabled and all age enabled for until, and the facility varies specific groups of tourists in community-based tourism. Yeah. Okay, and this was about 5 models tourism areas in Thailand, and I would like to say that in Thailand now or present, support was about the what is called, and the model for about the next normal, like a next normal for about the 5 models. Okay, similar, right? In Thailand, right, from the government, right, preparation for the return of tourists after the pandemic, the government has approved of safety zone campaign promoting safe tourism attractions. The Department of Tourism has now nominated 5 tourism areas across the country to pilot this campaign, like follow from the policy, just like to promote and support and promote, right? 5 model. Okay, first model. Model natural tourism area, model urban tourism area, model community-based tourism, model shopping district, model man-made attraction. And all of 5 models and under safety, health, and fairness are the 3 main principles of safety zone, right? Okay, would like to show about the first model. Okay, first model, okay, Bang San Beach in Chonburi nominated as a model natural tourism area. The future, because in this model, why this model first? Because the future high-speed train will connect Don Mueang Airport, Bang Sue Central Station, Suvarnabhumi Airport, then along the eastern side of the Bay of the Bangkok to Chonburi, Pattaya, and Utapao Airport. That would then make places like Bang San a potential commuter suburb of Bangkok. This first model, right? Bang San Beach. Okay, Bang San Beach at 10 minutes from Burapha University. 10 minutes from Burapha University. You can walk. And the second model, Nan On Thai in Nan as a model urban tourism area. These are one of the model this for like ancient and a temple and a museum, right? Why this Nan hometown? The Nan hometown is north of Thailand, yeah, bordering Laos and Myanmar or Burma, right? A highway linking the provincial capital to the rest of Thailand was completed in the 1980s, right? opening after the town commerce and tourism contemporary now is a typical mid-sized Thai provincial town, right? And third model in the Ban Rai Kong King community in Chiang Mai as a model community-based tourism. Award-winning in the Ban Rai Kong King in the north of Thailand in the Chiang Mai offers tourists genuine local experience that lives up to the self-sufficiency ideals of Lat King Bhumibol Adulyadej, right? And the community collective enterprise that and the family working together to meet the needs and the needs of everyone. And tourists are welcome to homestay overnight and stop by to learn about the community and buy organic products, right? Or to fourth model, Yawarat neighborhood in Bangkok as a model shopping district, and Yawarat is I think that the famous in the Bangkok together because when foreign would like to diversity first about the cultural would like to see in the Yawarat and set up to the model number 4, right? Certainly one Bangkok most vibrant neighborhoods, Chinatown, and a city-based location for walking due to its narrow lanes and the lack of traffic and charming own shop houses and active stateside community from temples to shopping and the alley of good food and the Chinatown to the Bangkok elitarity, right? Okay, last one, and the model 5, Asiatic the riverfront by Chao Phraya River in Bangkok as a model man-made, right, attraction. Asiatic is like a community. The Asiatic the riverfront will be Bangkok first large-scale riverside in the strong cultural aspect in the what set apart from the shopping mall, something like that, from the embracing shopping, embracing history, but providing culture and traditional symbol in the style balance between tradition and globalization. So, and for safety, health, and fairness are the 3 main principles together. Okay. Last one in the conclusion. Okay. I would like to show first about the dimension, first about the policy developments and evaluation, and what input should policy developments provide to evaluation, when and how, and what input should evaluation provide to policy making, when and how together. Last time and last one in the beyond usual good practice and good practice for the planning, for the evaluation early in the policy circle, and I would like to try first about to see it easier. The integration of evaluation into the policy circle should thus be in the 2-way, just a policy and develop, just like to evaluate first by the feedback, result, and the outcome, ultimate outcome together. Okay, now in the whatever the key components of COVID-19 public policies for tourism activation in Thailand and evaluate the various influences on the local resident satisfaction. Thailand's tourism vision towards year 2036 depict the ideas in Thailand tourism destination. The vision set in inspiring. Yet vehicle target for all stakeholders to align on the development direction, right? And finally, prospect to potential for tourism to contribute to the transformative changes, example the clean economy system in the areas together. I think that how to keep and how to grow and how to get there in the community. Policy not an alone force by the department for the government, for the governor, but just like to the combine and collaboration all sectors. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sunny. I think it's quite interesting. What's topic about how the policy evaluation itself related to what we call it as a policy problem. So I want to give you a brief summarize of the Dr. Sunny presentation today. So actually, if we look at this, the transition, especially in the Thailand, this is the 4 phases that need to be, to understand. First is about the begin over, and then the second phase is on the booster fund, especially in the silver hair and the baby boomer, and then the third phase, especially in the bubble tourism, our travel bubble. And then the last phase is about turn back better. So this is kind of transition that Thailand policy in adjust the situation of the pandemic 19, especially in the tourism. And then Dr. Soni also mentioned about how the especially at Thailand the tourism policy kind of 5 model that you have to be maybe this is a kind of knowledge for us to more understand about what's actually the model of Thailand, how just the problem of the COVID-19. First is how the government of Thailand has developed a natural tourism area, and then also develop also the urban tourism area, and then the third is community-based tourism, and then 4 is a shopping district, and then the 5F man-made attractive. This is kind of model in this the Thailand need to improve of the government. And also Dr. Suni also mentioned that actually when we combating the pandemic COVID-19, especially on the tourism, not all responsible of the government, but all non-government and also the government have to be make a kind of collaboration to attack this one. So the policy evaluation itself, it means this need a kind of a policy development, because the process of the policy, making policy is also from the identification of the problem identification, and then making a kind of strategy how to tackle the problem, and then we next, and then we move to the what we call it is a policy development. So when we need the policy development, we need a kind of evaluation. This is some conclusion for Dr. Suni public lecturing today, and I hope you can keep your question. You can write and keep your question to participant. Keep the question, and then please raise your question in the last session when we enter to the question session. Thank you very much, Dr. Suni. I think it's really a interesting presentation. And now I turn to give to Dr. Chom. Hello, Dr. Chom.
Okay, I'm here. Okay, I open my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time is yours, Dr. Chomo,
Yes.
to present your presentation here about this policy evaluation in Cambodia.
Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yeah. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Politics evaluation, and the first page you can see it, right? Yes. Okay. Can you see it now?
Okay, I can see it.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and I'm very happy and proud to be in this public lecture and a seminar. It's make me all the time happy to meet the students and the university staff and to share ideas and what have different countries in ASEAN has done and what are their aspirations. Okay, I will represent the Cambodian government willingness and aspiration to increase tourism sector and increase tourism in Cambodia. Okay, first, the COVID-19, we can divide it in three different era of COVID-19. Pre-COVID time before 2020, and as the name same is COVID-19, it starts in 2019, but occur in Asia in 2020. Secondly, COVID-19 era time, beginning of the year 2020 until 2022. And now we are moving in post-COVID time 2020 to onward. Here in my presentation, the concentration is addressed in post-COVID era, because if we look for the pre-COVID time or beginning of the time, it's taken a too long presentation and it passed already. So we concentration in a post-COVID era. First, I would like to explain shortly about Cambodia, because I know that Cambodia is quite not so well-known country in ASEAN as Thailand or Indonesia, Malaysia or Singapore. But Cambodia is making huge and fast and rapid development and follow another ASEAN countries. And Cambodia located between Thailand, Laos and Vietnam. The location is very good, especially in industry and tourism, because it can be in a gateway to Thailand, Vietnam and Laos. And population is now 16 million, and urban people is 2 million. Now correct statistics is almost 3 million. Also urbanization is rapidly increasing. Median age is 26 years or 26 years old, and life expectancy is 68 years for the male, female, and 65 male. 2 seasons, rainy season and dry season. Local currency is real, Cambodian real, but normally they're using in the tourism and everywhere in the US dollars. And Cambodia is very homogeneous country. 90% are Buddhist, and only 10% are others. And currently, Cambodian GDP is about a little bit less than $2,000 per year. But in same time, Cambodia having the sixth fastest growing economy in the world, and the average growth rate is 7.7% between 1995 and 2018. But of course, the COVID decreasing in Cambodia's economic development as in other countries in ASEAN. But their target is to be upper middle income country in 2050 and lower middle income country in 2030. It seems and look for it's quite good hope, but we can see it at what happened. Okay, then. And then we must look for the backside factors that create the economic development, and what are the important factors in development. As we see, foreign direct investment net inflows in Cambodia 2000 and 2019 percentage of the GDP is about 13%. But when we look for the next, the tourism is the biggest investment sector in Cambodia, not energy or industry, but tourism, which is a little bit surprising if we comparing another neighboring countries, like in Thailand, energy, industry, and infrastructure are very attractive investment. Of course, in Thailand, also in tourism, but in Cambodia, we can see that the tourism is #1 investment sector, both domestic and by foreign direct investment. So tourism industry is very important for Cambodia. And also in here, I put show for you the GDP growth rate and inflation percentage by years in ASEAN member state countries. So we can look for a little bit and understand the consequences different countries in ASEAN, what happened in COVID and how that affects for the GDP and inflation. As we see, 2020, all ASEAN countries, the GDP growth was negative. But in 2021, almost all countries start to do in a GDP growth. And in 2020, it started to increase more, and 2033, meaning that all ASEAN member countries are making a good process for GDP, and that is the good signal for tourism, because people having more money and finance to doing a join and travel around the ASEAN. And 2023, as we see, again, Cambodia go back and take the position to increase the GDP fastest level. Okay, we must understand that also Cambodian GDP is very low. And we can see also inflation rate at almost every countries in ASEAN, they are able to keep inflation also in an appropriate level, except Myanmar, but they have another problem than COVID problem also. But if you look for the inflation rate in 2022 and 23, it's quite and very well managed, which having an effect, positive effects for tourism sector. And share of international visitors to Cambodia between 2014 and 2018. We can see that ASEAN is most important. China is also important, but European Union start to decreasing, same like in Thailand, that Asian countries and China are increasing and the Western tourism are decreasing because the economic situation, and they find new destinations like in South America and so on. Visitors to Cambodia, it's increasing steadily and step by step. And 2019, before COVID, there was almost 7 million tourists in Cambodia. But if we compare that in Thailand, it's quite small amount of the visitors comparing to Thailand, where had more than 40 million. But we are coming and follow to Thailand, and we are able and happy to increase the tourism cooperation between Cambodia and Thailand. But that is the political decisions. And first, I would like to look for the growth of international and domestic tourists to Cambodia from 2010 to 2009. The increasing of international tourists have been quite impressive. More than 10% almost every year except 2016 and 2014 and 15. But then it is increasing quite steadily and quite fast growth rate. But as we see, 2019 and 2020 dramatically dropped, almost 2020 74%. While and the total comparing domestic and international tourists, the growth rate and the tourism decreasing 63%. And we must understand, whatever we are in Cambodia, we are in Thailand, Malaysia, or Indonesia, the tourism sector is labor-intensive industry, and one tourist give workplace for 5 people in a tourist sector. It's in a very labor-intensive industry, and that's create a lot of workplaces for the local people, depending are we focusing them in a regional level, provincial level, state level, or whatever. But it's an important factor, especially in a state regional level. To do recovery, it is not the questions of 1 or 2 independent organizations. It is questions of cooperation, and more than that, control system and level. Who control the system and level and coordinate it. It needs different public and private organization to do it. It's not in a one-man show or one organization show. It needs many different public and private organizations. In Cambodia, it includes 4 main ministries. Of course, there is many others also, but the main ministries are Office of the Cambodian Prime Minister, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Interior, and Ministry of Justice. Because we can see the Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Interior are important players because Ministry of Interior create the immigration law. Ministry of Justice make the road, the legal roads and platform to Ministry of Interior to create changes of immigration law, visa, rules and regulation, and how to do that, and what are the mandatory obligations to enter to the society and state. And government system interaction and the problem was occur both Indonesia as in Thailand. We can look for Ministry 1, like Ministry of Prime Minister, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Interior, and Ministry of Justice. Who control the development? That is the problem, this kind of hierarchical societies. They have in a system interaction and system feedback. But what is missing? Executive control system and current function as a loose collection of operative systems, ministry, without controlling system and meta system. That create a challenging situation because no controlling system. Who and what is the role? Ministry of Digital, who are responsible for the digitalization. Ministry of Industry, but that is out of the main 4 players, even they are one of the core, and how they communicate with Ministry of Industry. That is the problem in Cambodia. Similar problem occur in Thailand. And we can say that the government organization are developmental agency and instrumental agency. And what is the difference? To represent a state operative system strategically requires the introduction of meta system. Meta system is a less known control system. The meta system has a meta functionality and includes a strategic executive control system that guides the operative system that include operation and their direct management. The meta system and operative system are connected by that facilitate instrumental learning. This, for instance, permits the implementation of the goals, and state instrumental learning enables unsuccessful implementation to be corrected in some way. If they have been a control system, what is now in missing, and they have been unsuccessful implementation, who say that you have done not so effective way? Of course, all ministries say all the time, whatever or organization, private or government or public organization, if there is no control and the implementation is not so success, of course, they don't show that in a public and don't inform that in public way and say, we have done very well. And Operative intelligence enables a state system to define its own boundaries relative to its environment, develops its own code of operation, and implements its own programs. All ministries have their own programs and own organizational cultures, which not may fit with another organization who has also their own culture. And are they cooperative partners or are they competitors? And we must look for and understand in every societies, the organizations are the reflection of the society, and they structure are similar, but in a small perspective than in the society. And example in Cambodia and Thailand, they are mini kingdoms. So the organization are also mini kingdoms. And there is no Lord in this world who are willing to share their power. And the relationship between operational system, meta system, indicating in instrumental feedback, where goals may be adjusted when they cannot be implemented. The meta system, executive system and control, and collective operative system, operation management, and the process. And this system should to be developed that the government agencies can be effective. And when these connections are not in clear, that is often happen in the countries what are not so advanced, or they are in developmental stage, and the administration system cannot follow the changes and modernization, and they follow that and develop slowly their operations. But that will happen in later, hopefully. Okay, just we take that short academic presentation about government organization, and we go back to the tourism, that tourism and post-COVID roadmap of Cambodia. But I would like to explain that government organization structure in this kind of developing countries, and why it's important, and why they may have a problem to implement in the aspiration. Maybe the figurative capacity is high and they have a lot of ideas and proposal, but few implementation and adaptation. Okay, COVID-19 has caused an unprecedented crisis and has come as a shock to Cambodia, the region and the world. The effects of COVID-19 have led an 80% drop in international and 20% domestic tourists, with an estimated 3 billion in revenue losses by 2020. And 3 billion revenue is quite a huge amount of prosperity in the Cambodia, which is in a relatively small country to compare, in example, in Malaysia or Indonesia or Thailand or Vietnam. The royal government of Cambodia has set out the roadmap for recovery of Cambodia tourism during and post-COVID-19. The COVID situation can be divided into three levels as a global level, regional level, and national level. In here, my concentration is put only in a national level. And the roadmap, Cambodia roadmap to increase in tourism sector, have divided into three phases. national level, Cambodia. Okay, COVID-19 have had strongly and specifically negative impacts in 9 months of 2020. Cambodia received only 1.2 million international tourists, declining by 74.1% compared to same period in 2019. Decreased around 80% of international tourists and 20% of domestic tourists alongside, as I mentioned earlier. And the 3 million revenues affects very negatively for the labor forces, and it's declined great deal of impacts of the tourism business operation, and they have closed almost 3,000 business unit or business operation, what we can call in tourism companies, SME companies, or big corporations. And they cut 51,000 jobs in Cambodia already. And we know that unemployment, high level of unemployment is the very big problem in Cambodia, despite that statistics shown in Thailand and Cambodia, very few amount of unemployment, but both countries, the real unemployment rate are one of the biggest issue and problem for both countries. Positive sides have coming already. Some positive notions, especially in September. Domestic tourists visiting across country consisted 7.2 million tourists in total, which increasing 20%, where 2020 in the national tourist count about 5.5 million tourists and increasing to 1.2%. And foreigners who traveled within Cambodia were 1.7 million, increasing almost 200% compared to same month last year. The roadmap focuses on transforming the threat from the COVID-19 crisis into opportunity to reform Cambodia tourism sector into quality, safe, and sustainable tourist destination, bringing back 7 million international tourists by 2025 and 11 million domestic tourists in 2023. They try to tourist almost 18 million tourists, which is high and good target for them, but comparing that before COVID, 7,000, little bit less than 7 million tourists and 11 million tourists, but we try to do it. This is the forecast of Cambodian tourism development scenario during and past COVID-19 time. As we see, they have in a three scenario: scenario 1, scenario 2, and scenario 3. They have made that very professional way. They look for it. What happened if this scenario 1? What if there is in a scenario 2 and scenario 3? And as we see, the scenario 1 is the most appropriate, and we hope this happen. Intervention policy measure. The target is that 2027, there is a little bit more than 10 million tourists in Cambodia. Scenario scenario 2, in 2027, there is in 8.5 million tourists, and the most worst scenario and which related in vaccination, and is that there is still in a travel restriction and barriers in regional level, a state level, and international level, and that mean low growth rate and only 7 million, a little bit more than 7 million tourists in Cambodia. As we talked a little bit earlier, they have 3 phases in Cambodia, similar like in Thailand. Okay. Okay, they have 3 phases. Phase 1, resilience and restart. The new normal phase and planning for recovery 2020-21. Because this crisis gives an opportunity to us reconsider the system for providing tourism in Cambodia to be more resilient and sustainable for the future, and minimize the effects of COVID-19 infection, including example, trust and confidence of the society. As we know, Cambodia is not so high trust and confidence of the society in current times and even in COVID. Increasing public-private partnership participation, and this the government are made very well, because they realize that government by own self do not have a capacity alone to do that. And also that include SME companies, not only the big corporation and the corporation near to the political elites. They have they try to widening the prosperity and give opportunity all sides of companies, not only in the big corporations. Adapt to learn to live in a new state. That is to keep hygiene and be careful not to neglect adaptation, not to neglect in the hygiene issue. But in here, we must throw a note again, adaptation is difficult process. And adaptation means internal changes from external pressure. And the pressure come outside. But are the organization and the system really ready to make internal changes that affect positively in development and adaptation? Adaptation are precondition for effective development. Okay, recover phase 2. Recover Cambodia's tourism sector after COVID. Now we go a little bit more forward in current years. 2022 and 2023 provide vocational training, increasing vocational schooling, digital skills and recent skills in line with the market demands. That means the digital development. And digital development is under the control and leading of Ministry of Industry. But whatever, digital. And remember, I'm sure that digital changes Cambodia is able to do fast. And probably fastest in the ASEAN next 10 years. And also Cambodia was the first who launched the central bank digital currencies in whole Asia. And that's given in a opportunity for Cambodia for digital sector to create different kind of digital platform to increase and support to tourism sector and the trade and commerce. Promote and increase the competitive excellence of Cambodian tourism in the region and the world. E-visa application, long-term visa, easy application for visa, retired visa, retired people visa, made it easy, and so on. And that is under the control and Ministry of Interior and Ministry of Justice. I recommended you to do an e-visa application by online if you visit to Cambodia, and you will surprise how it is so easy and fast. It is very, very intelligent way made it. Also, retired people, example in Thailand, they need to apply visa every year. In Cambodia, you take first in a 5-year visa. No so much bureaucracy, no need so many documentation, and so on. And they are doing that in very well, but okay, they have also one opportunity, the big brother Thailand. Thailand has made already, and Thailand is well-known tourist destination. So they want to avoid the problem what the Thailand made, and try to do in a reverse in Thailand immigration law. And Thailand, in Cambodia, they have it now in the renovation of the immigration law of Thailand, which is also part in the increasing in tourist sector, tourism, investment, and industry. Okay, the development of new tourism products, strengthening the quality of tourism, establishing the national tourism vocational schools in the priority tourism pools, encouraging the new tourism business model with creative and innovation, promoting new startups in tourism sector, capturing digital technology, building capacity of public relation and promoting tourism. The Ministry of Industry, Science, Technology and Innovation are responsible to develop digital technology. And this is out of the main developers of tourism. Phase 3, relaunch tourism and the program 2024-25, preparation for the new future of Cambodian tourism sector. Maximize the benefits of sustainable development of Cambodia's in tourist sector with greater sustainability, responsibility in times before crisis. Building the future of Cambodia tourism sector to be sustainable, quality, and smart. Because without sustainability, maybe they destroy own platform for great tourism. That we look for that already, number of domestic tourists in Cambodia, and what is the expectation in 2025, almost 13 million. 4 pillars for recovering Cambodia's tourism, similar like in Thailand. Cultural heritage, ecotourism, Cambodia's bay, and Cambodianness. As we see, quite similar than Thailand. Strategic direction and pillars for recovering Cambodia's enduring tourism during and post COVID-19. Pillar 1, cultural heritage. Pillar 2, ecotourism. Pillar 3, Cambodia's bay. And Pillar 4, Cambodianness. Okay, Pillar 1, cultural heritage, temples and cultures. Temples and cultures. And as you see in Cambodia, know very well that Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, culture are very similar, and they have integrated thousands of years in their cultures, and exactly 1,000 years there was only one country which belongs more than 1,000 years. Cambodia, current Cambodia, Thailand, and Laos was in the same. So that is the reason why their temples, their clothing, why the music instruments are quite similar and look similar, because they have been together. They are really brothers and sisters together. Pillar 2, ecotourism. And ecotourism is increased around the world. And this is good opportunity for Cambodia. Cambodia is rich in natural resources and biodiversity, especially concentrated in 57 protected areas, covering an area of 7,439 hectares, including national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, landscape protection areas, multi-use areas, and Ramsar sites, natural heritage sites and biodiversity corridors, and so on. 9 forest protected areas, mangrove forest, and Cardamom Mountain. And remember that the mangrove forest in Cambodia is the biggest in Asia. Tropical forest, which are the last rare species in Asia, and now this area included in the top 10 ecotourism destination in the world. And the example, longest mangrove forest in Southeast Asia. Ecotourism, overall, the development of natural tourism, especially ecotourism, which is a form of sustainable tourism that benefits the local economy and the society, contributing to effective environmental protection and plays an important role in promoting competitive advantage of Cambodian tourism sector. Pillar 3, Cambodia's Bay, coastal. Cambodia's Bay also has huge potential spreading over 440 kilometers and becoming a member of the most beautiful beaches clubs in the world since 2011. And coastal provinces and supported the royal government's policy to develop sustainable coastal tourism. And that we can see for leisure on the beaches and Iceland is a competitive advantage in the development of tourism and has made the Cambodia's basis welcoming the growth of national and international tourists. As you see, Dr. Suni showed the pictures. Quite similar in Cambodia. And in the future, they start to be in a competition, the tourists who enjoy to go in the sea. Cambodians include provide good hospitality and welcome international tourists with a full form smile. September, my international website ranked Cambodia one of the top 10 countries with the best hospitality for foreigners and tourists. Vision is to create 3 C's concept: Cambodians, people with competency, and people with compassionate. And then I have a SWOT analysis of Cambodia tourist sector. If you are interested in it and want more information about Cambodia's tourism SWOT analyzing during the COVID-19 crisis, please send email to me and I can give more information and I can give the analysis to you. That is maybe good for the students who study in tourism and management, Faculty of Tourism and Management, or related in tourism. Please send email to me and ask, I can send that for you. That is called study material for your studies. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chiromo. I think it's a nice presentation that you already described about how the policy development in this Cambodia. So you mentioned just make a kind of a simple summarize of your presentation here that you mentioned and Cambodia is one of the countries that compared with Southeast Asia, I think Cambodia slightly increased, especially on the tourism,
Yes.
International tourism. And then we can also look at that investment, Cambodia investment is more than 3,851 million US dollar. So it's kind of interesting information. So in your presentation also you mentioned that we need kind of a meta system, related with what we call it as the collective operation system. That's two aspects that's we cannot reject, between politics and administration. It's two things that's really important for us if we want to analyze kind of a public policy, especially on the tourism policy. So and also you mentioned in the your presentation itself that there is any for I mean in this how to tackle, especially to improve the tourism in Cambodia. Yeah, you mentioned before that the office of ministry is played an important role, even in the tourism, also the ministry, and also Ministry of Interior that have kind of responsibility in the, especially on the immigration. And also you need to mention that need the Ministry of Justice, that this is kind of platform who can give kind of service to the visa and the regulation in tourists, international tourists. This is kind of an interesting topic. This so in Cambodia it also there is any at least 3 phases that handling in the COVID-19, especially improving policy on the tourism policy. First, in the face of resilience, resilience is important for us. We have a kind of problem. Not the COVID-19 is not only one country, that the pandemic is not only in one country, but in the world. Everyone, every country have to resilience. The economic, especially on the economic, because this pandemic is also have a kind of huge impact on the economic sector. So this is what we call it as and in Cambodia it's also needed kind of improving how the cultural heritage, and then how the ecotourism, and then Cambodian Bay, and also important here is Cambodianness. I think as most Asian countries, have a kind of specific, a specific thing that we have to kind of Asian culture, and we have to smile, and then we have to, a little bit polite with, the international tourism. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Tuomo. Your presentation is really important for us in, especially enhancing our knowledge about how we understand about Cambodia. Usually, we only know about the, like you mentioned before, in Asia, we're just talking, especially in the Southeast Asia, we're just talking about Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, or maybe Malay. Cambodia is one country that we have to really look inside more deeply about, so we can compare and contrast how we can improve the, for example, in the tourism policy. We can learn about kind of a lesson learned, good lesson learned from Cambodia. Thank you very much, Dr. Tuomo.
Thank you for your nice words and great feedback. I'm very satisfied, and it's make my heart very warm with your beautiful and nice words. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tuomo. Okay, the last guest lecture is from Unsud University, and I invite you, Dr. Slamet Rosadi.
Okay.
Time is yours to, giving a kind of lecturing for us,
Okay. Pak Ari, how long do I should deliver my presentation?
I think
how many
not
minutes?
Not more than 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Not more.
Not more than. Okay. It can be less than, right?
We still have a session asking in the discussion, so at least not more than around 30 and 40 minutes. That's okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
very much, Dr. Slabradi.
Yes. Okay, wait. Okay. Wait. I want to share the presentation. Okay. Everybody can see my presentation?
Yes,
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
can see very well.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Good morning. Yes. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for University of Diponegoro to invite us, to make small reunion with Professor Tuomo and Assistant Professor Dr. Suni Hongwiset to be together in this excellent webinar. This is a good way to exchange our ideas, our experience. Especially we discuss about policy evaluation in tourism and food security sector, especially in pandemic era. And also I would like to thanks to Dr. Triyuniningsih and also Dr. Hardi Warsono and all my colleagues from Diponegoro University to give me a chance to deliver my presentation. And also, it is very happy that some of colleagues from Asian Public Administration Association of Indonesia also join in this seminar, in this public lecture. It is very pleasure to have with you all. And please allow me to share my recent experience. Maybe this is small research, because when we are in the pandemic era, maybe we spend mostly our time at home, and then as researchers we try to be more creative, and I tried to make small research using a news media as our data, and then I try to make a comparison with the theory, and then this is my presentation. And I have also shared full paper of this research to all of you. You can download in Zoom link. Yeah. Okay. To short my presentation theme, I would like to talk about tourism policy, especially in pandemic era, and then I will focus on government capacity, to handle this problem. In my introduction, I would like to show you about the world tourism situation at the early pandemic period. Based on the data from World Tourism Organization, in the early of pandemic period, the COVID-19 pandemic caused 22% fall in international tourist arrivals during first 3 months of 2020, and also declined by 60 until 80% by the end of 2020. The situation described that decline in export revenues, especially world export revenues from tourism between 910 billion US dollar to 1.2 trillion US dollar, and also put directly high risk, especially from jobless for the tourism actors, tourism workers, around 100 and 120 million jobs, especially in tourism sector and also related tourism workers. And what about in Indonesia? In Indonesia, since February 2020, we know that the number of foreign tourism decreased, because of a pandemic, and the peak of decreasing occurred in April 2020. Indonesia only received 158,000 tourists, and in total, throughout 2020, the number of foreign tourists entered Indonesia was only around 4,052 million people. This figure is concerning because only 25% of the number of tourists who enter Indonesia in 2019 is only very, very small tourism visit Indonesia. Why? Because the existence of the implementation of the large-scale social restriction, as in Indonesia, we well known about the PSBB, pembatasan sosial berskala besar, and then the consequence government close access in and out Indonesia, and it has impact the state revenue in tourism sector by 20.7 billion rupiah. This is a huge amount that the government lost from the tourism sector. On the other hand, we also saw that the pandemic also has direct impact on the various jobs in tourism sector, especially in Indonesia. And I refer from the BPS, National Statistical Agency. They release data that 409,000 workers in the tourist sector have lost their job due to the COVID-19 pandemics. And I try to raise question, what has the Indonesian government done to save the tourism sector from the pandemic impact? And are government policies effective to save the tourism sector in the pandemic era? I try to apply theoretical lens by using policy capacity, which identifies three important components of policy capacity. First aspect is resources. The second aspect is policies itself, and the third one is constraints. This is how I use theoretical perspective to analyze how government handle the problem in tourism sector, especially in pandemic era, and how effective the government action to restore, to save the tourism sector in the pandemic era. In the first aspect, resources, special resources, policy resources, we got the data that the government tried to recover tourism from the pressure of the COVID-19 pandemic through the role of Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy to provide a huge budget in the form of government assistance for tourism business. We call it BPUP. And this BPUP budget is part of the National Economy Recovery Budget. And the minister is given to the authority to manage the budget until 2.4 trillion rupiah to restore tourism and the creative economy. And this recovery budget is intended for workers in the tourism and creative economy sectors who have experienced layoffs, and or reduced working hours. When I was in 2000 to 2021, I tried to look the the impact of pandemic in Bali, and then I saw the tourism in Bali is decreased significantly, and many people was laid off from their job, and then why the government provide BPUP fund to recover, to save this worker from layoff, also reduce working hours. And in addition, the survey results show that the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the tourism sector and the creative economy reaches more than 80% in form of unemployment and cut in working hours. This is a very, very significant impact, yeah, especially for the tourism workers, because they have reduced working hours, and then they receive less money, yeah, to support their livelihood, and this is a very significant impact on their job, and also very critical, yeah, to survive their life. And in addition to budget support, moral support, this is a kind of support, not only money support or material support. There's also moral support provided by the Tourism Industry Association in an effort to restore tourism and creative economy. Moral support in the form of declaration of the moving tourism industry and the war against COVID-19 is a form of social capital, yeah, to strengthen the government effort to restore the tourism sector and the creative economy. Because to fight against the COVID-19, we cannot rely on the government role, but we also need many actors, multi-stakeholder support, yeah, to strengthen how government tried, how government effort to restore, to save the tourism sector. The support of this association is very important to strengthen the institutionalization of strict health protocols. Yeah, because in last 2 years, especially in 2020 and 2021, the positive COVID transmission is very high. Yeah, very hard, very dangerous, and many people died because of the COVID. And then government across the world applied strict health protocols. And then this is not only the government job to socialize this health protocols, but also need stakeholders, multi-stakeholders, to take this role to institutionalize health protocols to everyone, especially in the tourism sectors. And also the association take the role to remove the tourism sector in systemic, structure, and measurable manner. Support from tourism recovery also come from the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, all we well-known Kadin, Kamar Dagang Industri. Kadin and Minister of Creative Economy and Tourism collaborate in effort to strengthen coordination and cooperation in tourism and creative economy during pandemic. As we know from Professor Tuomo's presentation in Cambodia, and also presentation from Dr. Suni Hongwiset, we know that many people, many actors try to mutual cooperation to strengthen coordination, cooperation to save the tourism from the impact of pandemic. In here, with the signing of the MOU of cooperation between Kadin and the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, they try to make effort to restore the tourism sector, and creative economy have become even stronger. This is the summary of the tourism recovery resources during the pandemic COVID-19 pandemic. Mostly there are two policy resources, national budget and also collaboration. In national budget, government provide economic incentives for tourism actors due to layoff and reduced working hours, yeah, especially to support their livelihood, yeah. And then the second resources is support, yeah, support, and then the stakeholders create collaboration with the government to strengthen the implementation of health protocols in the creative tourism sector and preparing tourism recovery during a COVID-19 pandemic. And the second aspect is the policies. Yeah. The implementation of a community activity restriction policy, PPKM, yeah, has also had a major impact on the tourism sector during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, after a government applied restriction social-wide, and then the government introduced new approach to restrict social interaction. Government applied PPKM or pembatasan pemberlakuan pembatasan kegiatan masyarakat or community activity restriction policy, and this also still give a negative impact for the tourism sector. The government latest through the instruction of the Minister of Home Affairs, or we call it in Mendagri number 27 of 2021 concerning the enforcement of restriction on community activities level 4, 3, and level 2 COVID-19 in Java and Bali region also become a policy that regulate tourism activities. Because of this policy, the workers, the tourism workers lost tourism visits. Yeah, because if the PPKM is in level 4, government restrict, yeah, social mobility to enter the tourism area, and then local government try to make some effort, yeah, to reduce, yeah, to lower the PPKM level. And if the local government succeed to lower PPKM level until PPKM 1, level 1, and then the tourism sector will give more visit from local and also foreign tourists to visit the tourism area. And through this policy, the local government temporarily closed the tourist sites, yeah, but easing can be done if case of COVID-19 transmission have decreased. Yeah, this is very dynamic, very flexible if local government succeed to decrease the COVID-19 transmission. The implementation of community activity restriction policy has had major impact on the creative tourism sector during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the similar one. And then to overcome the impact of closing creative tourism activities, the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy has taken various strategic steps in the form of increasing human resource capacity, yeah, revitalizing tourism destination, creative economic structure, increasing business resilience and competitiveness, product and service innovation, as well as market recovery and expansion. The interesting one, the Ministry of Creative Economy and Tourism also launched virtual tourism. Yeah, virtual tourism is an effort that the government tried to keep foreign tourists anymore to visit Indonesia. Yeah. Maybe the government try to keep the motivation of foreign tourism to visit Indonesia, because tourism sector is very competitive, and Indonesian government try to make foreign tourism still interested in visiting Indonesia, maybe in the normal situation. One of a government action is to create new job for tourism actors affected by layoff. Government provide training and assistance as well as access to capital for tourism actors, and also governments try to give new business widely during the pandemic for the tourism workers. In preparing for pandemic situation that is uncertain when it will end, the government also prepared a policy plan to rearrange the branding of tourism and creative economy toward resilience and sustainable market. One of them is government create virtual tourism. And another one is the tourist village in Thailand. Suni mentioned community-based tourism. In Indonesia, we call it the tourist village. The tourist village is one of the leading tourism sectors that will continue to be promoted because it's adaptable nature, yeah, that attract tourists. Because in the tourist village, it's more safe, yeah, it's more safe because the COVID transmission in rural area is maybe not so high than in urban area. The main purpose of developing a tourist village is to empower rural communities so that they can be directly involved in management of creative tourism. And in addition, the development of tourist village can maintain local tradition and culture so they remain natural and sustainable. Not only experiences, tourist villages also provide opportunities for tourists to enjoy the art and cultural treasures of the local community. With this character, the government will pay special attention to the development of tourist villages that are increasingly personalized, customized, localized, and smaller in size. Yeah. Even the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy and also head of a Tourism and Creative Economy Agency believes that tourism village will play a role as the main choice for the travel in line with change in post-pandemic tourism trends. Yeah, because tourists will consider tourist village more as a destination of choice because tourist locations are more safe, comfortable, water clean water, healthy, and have beautiful environment. And also, government tried to run COVID-19 vaccination, especially for creative tourism actors, yeah, to create or to form a herd community, and then the tourists will visit the tourism area more safely, more comfortable, because the tourism workers has received vaccination, and government try to make confident for the tourism to visit the tourism area. And the other one is an effort to generate confidence among creative tourism actors, also application of certified CHSE or cleanliness, health, safety, and environment sustainability as tourism recovery protocols. With the acceleration of vaccination, yeah, and the implementation of CHSE, it is hoped that it will attract back the interest of tourists to visit various tourist sites, especially tourism village. This is the summary of the government action to recover the tourism sector in the pandemic era. In my research, we identify at least 5 policies First off, enforcement of restriction on community activities or PPKM. And the second one, capacity building of tourism actors and access to capital. The third one, rebranding tourism and creative economy tourism, village development. The fourth one, COVID-19 vaccination for tourists, especially for tourism workers. And the fifth one is application of cleanliness, healthy, safety, and environment sustainability to make tourists more comfortable and confident to visit the tourism area. This is the policy goals of the policies, yeah, to close creative tourist site and tourism sector in general, as well as restriction on tourist visit, yeah, under certain condition, and new job creation, and also the creation of resilient and sustainable tourism sector, so to empower rural communities to involve in the management of creative tourism, and also to increase public confidence and tourism actors in moving creative tourism activities back, and also increase tourist interest to visit tourist sites. This is the policy goal from the five tourism policy from the government. And the last one is a constraint. I try to identify what kind of constraint the Indonesian government received when they applied some kind of policies to restore, to save the tourism policy. All the government have provided incentive package for the tourism actors. Not all tourism actors have received the benefit of this policy. Many creative tourism actors do not get credit relaxation from the leasing and banking parties. Yeah, because of the database management, and also so many working people in the tourism sector. In another side, the government has limitation in providing the budget. Maybe not all tourism workers receive this incentive package. Tourism actors also regret the implementation of restriction on community activities, which has killed the tourism sector. The closure of tourism site result in no income for tourism actors. Meanwhile, the governance of tourism sector during the pandemic was not prepared by the government, resulting in the death of tourism activities. And the government's lack readiness in anticipating the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the tourism is also considered inconsistent with the government campaign that placed the tourism sector as an engine of economic growth. Yeah, this is a kind of the problem of implementation in the tourism sector, especially in the pandemic era. And in addition, the implementation of PPKM also received strong protests, public protests from creative tourism actors, especially in Yogyakarta, blocking roads, closing tourist attraction, shopping centers, and office, and extending the PPKM legislation uncertain, and sparked a wave of protests from the tourism actors, especially in 2021. And also the impact of COVID-19 vaccination on the creative sectors usually look positive. This is the positive sign from the policy government. For example, here in the Pangandaran Beach in the West Java, tourism area will increase after a vaccination implementation by the government. It has a positive impact for the tourism destination. It increased by 30 to 40% in 2021. In some areas, because of the vaccination, hotel occupancy rate has also increased. This condition reflects that the level of public trust in the tourism sector is getting better and better, along with the relaxation of tourism activities and also the speed of the vaccination for the people to create herd immunity. This is the summary of some constraint to creative tourism recovery during the COVID-19 pandemics. There is at least two constraints: limited incentive assistance access, and the second one is the enforcement of restriction on community activities. Now we go to the policy impact, how the government action give impact to recover the tourism sector. In 2020, the yellow picture here, the tourism visit, especially from foreign tourists, decrease until from January and February 2020, and in 2021 it is getting better. The tourism visit, especially from foreign tourism, increase and getting better. And then from the newest data in 2022, I also get new positive sign that the tourism sector is more getting stable, and then we see from the news or from the media that many local and also foreign tourists now back to the tourism area to get some healing, because we know we need healing to release our stress in tourism destination. If the pandemic cannot be resolved by all of us, and then we lost healing ways to release our stress. And we come to the conclusion. The government's policy capacity in restoring the tourism sector during the COVID-19 pandemic is determined by three important components, namely resources, policies, and constraints. And from our study, we reported that these three components were found in the government effort to restore the tourism sector due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Here, government has mobilized both economic and social resources to restore the tourism actors. Number of policies have also been implemented. Although the economic incentive package and PPKM were implemented, the strategy was not considered sufficient to fully restore tourism sector. Therefore, stakeholder collaboration is needed to improve the recovery policy of the tourism sector, especially in the post-pandemic period. This is so that the policies and resources allocated by government get support from the tourism actors. I think this is my presentation. I hope this presentation will inspire and maybe complement what the two presenters before to our discussion about the tourism policy in the pandemic era, especially from Indonesian side. Thank you very much. I hand over to moderator, Mr. Ari. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Slamet Rosadi. Nice presentation that Dr. Slamet Rosadi mentioned here about how really the Indonesian policy in tackling pandemic COVID in the sector of tourism. Dr. Slamet Rosadi mentioned here that Indonesia have a significant impact, especially on the pandemic COVID-19. Mostly lost the job, and then GDP is quite decreasing. And Dr. Slamet Rosadi mentioned here that it should be analyzed, especially when we evaluate the policy on the tourism policy in Indonesia. So kind of any theory lens that we can look more deeper as in the resource and policy and constraint. Even though that huge policy have been implemented in Indonesia, we still remain a problem, especially in the what we call it the economic itself look like slowly, you know. So this is kind of need kind of the weakness of the policy itself is on the beginning on the collaboration, you know. So the collaboration between government and the private sector is need to be done, you know. So this is kind of the basic conclusion of the Dr. Slamet Rosadi mentioned on this public lecture here. Thank you very much, all of you, Dr. Tomo, Dr. Suni, and Dr. Slamet Rosadi. And now time for is there any participation? Can ask to our guest lecturer here directly, or if you have a problem in, you know, expressing in English, and then I want to translate it to you to ask our guest lecturer, guest lecturer here. Is there anyone? Okay, if there is any, we are still waiting for the question. This is from Dr. Melki Neolaka. This is my old friend in Semarang. Yeah. They mentioned here the question itself to Dr. Tuomo and also Dr. Suni. You know, how about the main question is especially Dr. Suni and Dr. Tuomo. What actually you already mentioned about the impact on the national impact of this kind of policy, you know? But the main problem is there any benefit? Is there any improvement in the socio-economic aspect, in the societal level? What the impact of this such of policy, especially in Thailand and Cambodia, to I mean the improvement of economic, is there any improvement in the socio-economic aspect in the societal level? This is the question from Dr. Neolaka. Maybe Dr. Shuni first.
Yeah, thank you for the question. In my opinion, first about the policy barrier, I think that the policy is good, right? Because when our think about the policy mentioned to the about the benefits of population, benefit first about the country, right? And I think that the barrier is communicate. The policy maker cannot communicate, like allocate first about the activator or operators, like hierarchy. If we think about communicate, receiver and a sender cannot, like a June first about it. Okay, benefit for me if the population or the people cannot know first about the benefit for themselves, for myself. Suppose that I don't know first about the policy in the government, and in Thailand, I think that for communicate. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Suni. How about in Cambodia, Dr. Tomo?
Yes, as I mentioned, currently the government try to, like an example, if you look for the tourism sector, try to increase the platform for the SME companies to enter the market. That not only traditional big corporations be in the market. The tour operators and this kind of companies, they try to expand and give the possibilities. Secondly, one part of the socio-economic development and also in tourism is the huge and fast development of digital platforms, for example, in mobile phones and digital payment system, because only 5% of Cambodian people have a bank account. And that's create people the using in digital currencies, bakong, by mobile phones. They can increase really in the transactions. And these are also, most of these companies are SME or even small startup companies. And now this is the government policy. And I see that this tool slowly in increasing the socio-economic development. And as we know already, one tourist give a workplace for 5 people. It's very labor intensive industry. And secondly, I can ask in same time, Bertanyan Untuk asked, how is the condition of foreign tourists in Cambodia considering the policies implement the new normal era? Has there been increase of number of tourists? Okay, I can answer in this in same because that's related what your friends asked. These kind of changes, when the government or the state do the changes, it takes a long time. They are so huge. And when you do some changes, it's affect in some way. But Cambodia is small comparing to Thailand or especially in Indonesia. They are able to do everything in faster. Now, the renovation of immigration law. Under the Ministry of Interior, and chairman is the former Ministry of Justice of Cambodia. And they exactly revise the Thailand immigration law to foster retired people to come in Cambodia. And they make that easy. And that is now already in the process. And there is committee already to do that. They are able to do that. And when Thailand say, you cannot own the land, Cambodia say, you can own the land, because that create unity, loyalty, and belongs to the society. They do that. Thailand said you must be 2,000 euros per month to send in Thailand. Cambodia say 1,000 is enough, because 10,000 average retired tourist, example 10,000, they're eating every day 3 times. That create a positive side for the economy. It's not make sense to take only rich people, 10 people, because they can only eat one porridge in the morning, lunch and dinner. But the 10,000, they create the economy.
That's right.
And visa application, just do it in computer, 5 minutes, it is for you. And when you go to airport, it's complete. They try to do in this way, and this will increasing the tourism quite fast. Thirdly, you can take the retired visa first time within 5 years, no 1 year, no 90 days report for the police, and they are as I say, they look very carefully what their big brother Thailand doing, and when they say that this is bad for the tourism or business, they do exactly another side, and they learn very well in Thailand. They learn very well, and they are doing in this way. And as I said, Nini, I recommend it for you. Try it in the tourism services in Cambodia. They are excellent and they are doing very well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Suromo. This is a question to Dr. Suni from Ibu Dewi Kasmiati from Hang Tuah University in Indonesia. The question is actually how many, and this is kind of statistic aspect now. Actually, how many losses of income during the pandemic? This is first question. This is maybe a little bit academic question. But the second question I think is really interesting, you know. Tang Monida is really popular in Indonesia, you know, Dr. Suni.
Thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Dewi say that ask how about the news for the last news from the about the Tang Monida? Is this really clear or maybe more unclear? You know, because Tang Monida case is I don't know. It is Dr. Dewi mentioned that make us little bit afraid to fish it, but in Thailand. But I think it is no relation with Monida. And how about that? You know, this question, personally.
Question. Question about I'm not sure about the increased tourists, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm search in the World Bank, right? World Bank data, and in Thailand about the fourth level, right? Like overall in year 2020, because overall was about the increasing, not increase loss, was about 37 each, 37 each point billion dollar. Because I mentioned for the first slide, I mentioned first about the Thailand tourism in Thailand, and like a plow, have a money, make a money, and benefit and income from tourism. High, yeah. First really of all, first of all industry. Yeah. Okay, and the tourism in the come to travel in Thailand about because 2021, right? 2021, 6 million people. Yeah, I think that okay. So I think that there are so many people, but cannot pay, right? Pay first about the safety, save first about the everything, more than pandemic, right? About the tourists, 400, yeah, most 400,000, yeah, and the question about the tourists come to the Thailand because present Thailand cancel test and go, right? Already test and go already, and 1st July next month, and cancel for the metro, but use first about the vaccine history, yeah, show vaccine history, and Thailand Pass finished this month. Thailand Pass finished this month. Okay. And evaluate tourists about the this month or the month 20,000 tourists. Yeah.
20,000 tourists.
20,000 too. And overall in the last year, 367 each thousand. Yeah. In the World Bank, right? And policy about I'm not sure first about the question. Second, for the policy quarantine tourist, right? I'm remember first about the question. I suppose that Pattaya city, okay, Pattaya city is over in the foreign and diversity foreigner and foreign come to travel a long time. And Pattaya city, and I refer first about the research together. Policy, laws, and regulations regarding tourist safety, promotion, exercise over tour operations, tour operators, tour guides, and police staff, such as you are come to the business, you what is called in the Thai called in the take care when you come to visit Thailand in the airport and the landing, right? And in Thailand have a law and regulation first about the industry. Okay, if you are come to the airport, have a law of the airport. If you come to visit and travel or the place or the transportation, law and regulation was about the specific. If I think that in my opinion, okay, tourism of Thailand, tourist of country, tourist of the world. I think that the law and regulation support and care of you when you come to visit country like that. And one question about no, not yet. You mentioned Tamu, but because you mentioned the Tamu, and because in my opinion, because this issue first about the process of housing.
It is related to politics.
Of the port, yeah, process of the port. I cannot mention, but I mentioned first about okay, tourists come to the Thailand. Okay, take care first about the under and the cover law and regulation in Thailand together. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Yeah, this is my question. To Dr. Slamet Rosadi here. Yeah, this is really. I mean, little bit for me, a little bit understand. Is there any? I mean, you mentioned that in Indonesia, this is the case of Indonesia. Yeah, Dr. Slamet Rosadi has mentioned that the tackling especially in the COVID-19, especially in the tourism sector. You mentioned that Indonesia have a quite, impact, especially in the economic and also the social. And then the government of Indonesia tried to, to improve the policy development, especially on this kind of youth policy. You mentioned in the theoretical say that there is three aspects that's already been done, and if we talk about the politics, you mentioned here. I'm sorry about that. When we look at the policy lens and kind of we already identify the results. It's quite and then we already also implement such of a policy, and then also we already identify the constraints, but the impact of the policy, it kind of insignificantly, you mentioned here in insignificantly, and then still need a kind of collaboration, especially between a private and public sector. Is there any, clarification about that, about how the government a little bit fail in tackling the tourism sector? Why we say unsuccessful? Because the national growth is still constant, and then unlabor, the labor, we have still problem with the unlabor, and then we still have also a problem on the kind of increasing. For example, if you look at the population, the impact of the COVID-19 in Indonesia is slightly increased, especially in the first marriage. Mechanism in the social mechanism in Indonesia is by marriage. So most women, by if you look at the statistic, there is the number of women who get married. This is kind of the impact on the society. What do you think about that, Dr. Selamat Rasul?
Okay, thank you. Difficult question from Pak Ari. I'm not sure I can answer as you expected, yeah. But Pak Ari and audience, please give me permission, because after I answer my question, I have to leave this Zoom link because I have another occasion. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Critical question, because in the pandemic era, we all know that the government try to make balance between the health policy and economic policy. Yeah, because this is trade-off. If we are biased toward health policy, we have to sacrifice economic policy. But if we prioritize, we focus on the economic policy and we sacrifice health sector. Yeah, and then we try to balance. Yeah, we try to balance these issues. In health policy, government applied social restriction, yeah, and vaccination, and also maybe cleanliness, healthy, safety, and environmental sustainability in the tourism sector. And in economic sectors, government try to provide assistance for the laid-off workers and also reduce hours for the tourism workers. And then that we know that the pandemic still occurs, because maybe in the last 2 years, yeah, the effect of pandemic, especially in health sector, is still huge, still high. Yeah, many people died because of this pandemic. And then after the vaccination in Indonesia in 2022 is quite good. Yeah, the coverage of vaccinated people is quite good, and then it create herd immunity, and then government tried to more open, also implement relaxation policy to more open the tourism sectors, and then also give permission for the foreign tourism to enter Indonesia as long as they have been vaccinated, and then as long as they obey to government regulation to enter Indonesia. And then in my opinion, it is getting better and better in 2022. But maybe in 2021, government get public protest, yeah, because maybe the government try to learn how to give a good policy, especially for the tourism workers, because we see that they get lower income because the government closed the tourism area, and then they also do not receive a good socialization about the social restriction. And then the government also have incapability to give provide enough assistance, especially money assistance, funding assistance for the workers in the sector area. I think maybe this is a good lesson for us, that the government try to adapt, how the government try to create the balanced policy between the health sector and tourism sector. I think this is my answer, and I hope my answer can catch your question, Pak Ari.
Thank you very much, Dr. Slamet Rosyadi. It is maybe the last question. One question to Dr. Suni and one question to Dr. Tomo.
Pak Ari, give me permission to leave.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Slamet Rosyadi.
Ya, Pak Ari, Dr. Suni,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you in the next occasion. Right. Thank you very much for our audience also. Thank you.
This is the last question was the public lecture here. The question is the same, between Dr. Suni and how about the effectivity and efficiency of the policy, especially that already implemented in Thailand nowadays, for your opinion. This is, the question is from Nadifa and Nabila, the student from the public administration student, and they ask about how about the effectivity and efficiency of this such a policy between Cambodia and Thailand. This is really, for your opinion, this is a kind of opinion. Maybe Dr. Tomo?
Okay, as I talking in the presentation, the problem in both Thailand and Cambodia is the absence of the executive control system. So they have in many own operative system, like organization, which do own them, and even that lead because no control system. It's related in corruption. I mean, that is the big problem. And how we measure in effectiveness or efficiency, that is another question. But the point is not that at most of countries there is absence of metal. And secondly, we both of us Indonesia and whole the world in now, and special in the destinations like Thailand has now suffered the Ukrainian war. At the last couple of months, the flying tickets cost 400 euros to Thailand, example in Scandinavia. Now it's cost more than 2,000. People has no money to travel. It's 400. It has increased 400% within a couple of months. The tickets price. It's too expensive. And that is what any government cannot now do anything, because the prices are so high. People are not willing to pay 2,000 baht, 2,000 euros, which is almost 100,000 baht flying ticket to go in Thailand or Cambodia. Or Indonesia, which is even more expensive because you must go first in Bangkok or Singapore or Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah. So the problem is not in the internal country. The problem also depend on the other, European countries or American country, and they also have a problem on they don't have any money to go to Indonesia, Thailand, or Cambodia. This is the main problem. Even we already, implemented good policy, but in the tourism sector is depend on the external. That's really high.
Yes, and immediately when the COVID-19 start to
that's right.
help, and we try to Thailand and ASEAN and Indonesia try to do the best. It then happened in Ukrainian, and nobody cannot know that. And that's
Yes.
affect so much food crisis, oil crisis, energy crisis, and everything. So
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jomo, Dr. Suni, already joined in the public lecture. That's your knowledge is really significant, significantly improve our understanding, also improve the knowledge of our students, especially in the public administration, to understand, because one thing that the aim of this public lecture is we want to give the student, kind of spear, how about the policy in Thailand, how the policy in Cambodia. So
yes,
we can little bit wise, little bit wise in evaluate policy and something like that. This I think it's really significantly important for us, for all students here who participate in the public lecture. On behalf of our director, Dr. Juni, we say thank you very much for joining this public lecture. Thank you very much for Dr. Suni. I hope that we can, meet again in another seminar or another occasion. Thank you very much for Dr. Somo and Dr. Suni.
Thank you so much together.
And then I give to Gabriel to, to close this public lecture. Thank you very much.
thank you, and it was very proud. I'm very proud to be here to participate in these lectures. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you for sharing the idea and sharing for somebody's opinion. And one word, okay, policy is not equal.
Yeah.
It's not equal vision. Policy, most of policy like idealism.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you
have a
very
nice
much.
day for everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Riley. I will take over. So this is the presentation of materials, discussion, and the question and answer session from the webinar. Public lecture with the topic policies evaluation on food security and tourism in the COVID-19 pandemic era in Thailand, Indonesia, and Cambodia. Before we close this event, we would like to thank the Head of Public Administration Department, Dr. AP Dr. Andetri Yuningsih, MSc, and all the speakers, Dr. Suni Hong Wisel from Budapest University, Thailand, Professor Dr. Tuomo Rautafiki from the Royal University, Cambodia, Dr. Slamet Roshadi, MSc from Jenderal Sudirman University, Indonesia, and Dr. Andes Ari Sibowo, MA, as the moderator, and all the participants. We also apologize from the deepest of our heart for our mistakes in presenting this webinar event. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, greeting from all of us. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And have a nice day for everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please make a picture.
Picture? Oh,
Take a
thank
picture.
you.
Can all participants open the camera? Aku belum. Okay. I will wait for all participants open the camera to take picture all of us.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Enough?
you.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay.
See you then.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Have
Have a nice day.
Have a nice
Have a
day.
nice weekend.
Have a nice day.
Oh, nice weekend. Yeah.
Thank you,
Forgot.
Miss Uni.
Okay.
See you next time, yeah.
Terima kasih, Mas Bowo.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I
Welcome
will
to University.
yeah, send chat with you. Okay.
สวัสดีค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ